Hey, Falcons and NFL fans. Welcome to another episode of NFL Jocks and Pigskins on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. I'm Dave Holcomb with Chris Smitherman behind the scenes, although he's in front of the scenes right now.
Yeah.
Sort of in front of the scenes right now.
There we go.
And Tom Pollen. Tom, how you doing today?
Doing good. Hey, it was a beautiful day here in Chicago, so you can't ask for anything better.
That's good. That's good. It's normally cooling down over there at this point of the year.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Starting to take apart my garden, which is never a fun thing. It's kind of like signals the end of summer, and it's something I never look forward to, but hey, you got to do it. And yeah, it means the seasons is changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, October is an exciting time. I think it's a great month, great time of year for sports. A lot of college football on today that, can whet your appetite for what will be week 5 in the NFL. And of course, playoff baseball today as well. Braves are waiting for who they're going to play next week. But it's week 5 in the NFL. Got kickstarted with a pretty ugly Thursday night game, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later on today. But there should be some great matchups tomorrow and another 9:30 matchup in London too.
Yes, there is. Yeah, classic matchup between the Packers and the New York Giants. So that should be a fun one to watch. That rivalry goes back a long way. Giants entered the league in 1935. So, yeah, that rivalry goes back quite a bit. And should be fun to watch. Saquon Barkley's really tearing it up on the ground. I don't know. Packers are going to have their hands full.
I think so, too. Hard to believe the Packers are the last team to play in London. All 32 teams will have played there after tomorrow. And I think you're right. I think the Giants have a much better chance in that one than people are giving them credit for. That line is what, like 7.5, 8.5, something like that?
Yeah.
So
yeah, way too wide.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than that.
Right. Same here. I was also see that line myself. It's right now it's currently at 8. So okay. I think it's too big of a line considering that the Packers really have not figured out their number 2 receiver yet. I don't think they're running the ball as effectively yet. And Saquon Barkley is just, he's the guy that the Giants thought they were getting when they made the second overall pick. It's been interesting to see how Brian Daboll has got that team running right now.
Yeah, they believe. I think that Brian Daboll has come in and established a culture. I mean, it's kind of a cliche. All the new coaches talk about doing that, but it really seems like Brian Daboll has actually done it and done it quickly. So, I mean, that's great to see for the Giants.
So, I mean, they're second in the league in rushing yards per attempt. So that's, and as I say, I know Daniel Jones has been rough at quarterback, but, you do what you need to do to pick up yards to get the ball in the end zone, and they're doing it on the ground, and that's, that's fine. That's been a success for them.
But we want to talk Falcons here at the top of the show. Atlanta playing a division matchup with Tampa Bay, a series that Falcons have not had much success in recent years, especially since Tom Brady joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I think the Buccaneers are kind of reeling right now. They've lost 2 in a row. Really did not look good against the Chiefs. Chiefs really took it to them, and
yes,
it was kind of a revenge game. A revenge for the Super Bowl a few years ago. Patrick Mahomes was really into that matchup. You could tell.
Yep.
Reed had some things drawn up that I think he brought out special for the Buccaneers, and I think the defensive coordinator had some blitzes called special for Tom Brady. But I think Tom Brady's vulnerable right now. The Buccaneers are vulnerable. So I think the Falcons could smell blood in the water and really maybe not beat them. I don't know. But I think it's going to be a close game. I really do. So we're going to chat about that here in a couple minutes. We're also going to get to what I loved and loathed from week 4, have some things from the week as well, what I loved and loathed, one thing from Thursday Night Football. And we're going to have Tom's picks against the spread as we do every week. And we have some prize picks for you as well. By the way, today's show brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app in your app store. And when you do, get started with our promo code ASU. That gets you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So free money there. And we're going to have some entries that you can use tomorrow that hopefully you can double your money again.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some nice plays for tomorrow. It does look, there's some interesting prop bets that can be had for tomorrow.
So again, download that app, Prize Picks. And when you do, use our promo code ASU. That supports our show, and it gets you some free money to use on Prize Picks. It was a really fun fantasy game to be involved in on Sundays.
Yep.
Oh, so
no, go ahead.
But let's talk Falcons now. I think there's a lot of storylines going into this matchup. But to me, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I think it's about the quarterbacks, but also about the running backs.
Yes.
That's what I have my eyes on in this matchup. And I've been talking about Tom Brady and his off-the-field problems right now the last couple of weeks. And maybe it was fitting that we waited until today because news finally broke this week that Giselle and Brady have hired divorce lawyers. So it looks like their marriage is not just on the rocks. They are going to be filing for a divorce. And, I hate to make it a football question about that because obviously Brady's going through something really difficult in his personal life. But as a football show and as football fans, you wonder how that's impacting him. That's how that's impacting the Buccaneers. And again, as I said at the top of the show, maybe the Falcons smell blood in the water here, that they can finally get over the hump, beat Tom Brady, beat the Buccaneers for the first time in a long time, and get over 500. Get to 3-2
Yes.
and feel really good about being above 500 for the first time in a long time.
Long time. Yeah, we seemed to talk about that a lot last year.
Yeah, we did.
Because
they kept, to the Falcons' credit, they lose a game, come back and win a game. So again, the conversation is, well, can they go above 500? And it just seemed like they would then play a good team, and Falcons
just
would crumble against good teams last year.
Yep.
But I think they have a good shot this weekend against the Buccaneers, who I guess we're still trying to figure out if they actually are a good team. But they're still the best team in the NFC South, and it really would be a big statement if the Falcons could win this game.
Well, they're still a good team. Let's not, let's not be mistaken about that. Let's not pull it away. They're still a good team. This team can play defense. They still have a lot of weapons at receiver. Brady may not be getting the ball to them as well this year as we've seen before, but as we've seen in past years. Brady's been kind of average at quarterback this year. His passer rating is below 100, which, when's the last time we've seen Tom Brady under 100 as far as a passer rating? Not throwing as many touchdown passes, only has 6 in 4 games. So, yeah, he hasn't been as effective. And, if you want to catch up to Tom Brady, this is the year to do it. This is the time. I don't know if he's distracted or not by all of this. Actually, I think Brady seems to always be a little hyper-focused on what he's doing.
Yeah.
And being a quarterback, he's not going to lose focus of what he needs to do on the field. So I don't think the Falcons can look at him and say, well, he's distracted. You got to be ready to play him.
Of course.
Yeah. So, other than that, this is still a strong offense. As I say, they have the receivers that will drive you nuts. That's going to be a huge matchup problem Falcons tomorrow. And, you got Leonard Fournette, who's still running the ball strong. May not be running the ball as much right now, but still running strong. And a powerful defense. As I say, they are very strong on defense. So it's going to be tougher for the Falcons to move the ball tomorrow than it was last week. Although last week, man, that ground game really took control of that game against Cleveland.
Well, yeah, and that's why I feel confident about the Falcons. That Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense, which was elite the last 2 years, gave up 180 plus yards to the Chiefs last week. That's where the Falcons need to exploit them, especially with Mariota. Unfortunately, he's not getting better. It seems to be getting worse throwing the ball. We talked about his problems last week, and I think he had his worst game last week against the Browns. So, and at one point, Arthur Smith was just like, I'm running it on every play. I'm not even going to try and pass the ball or drop back and throw. So, and no Cordell Patterson in this game, which you would think would make it hard on Atlanta running, but Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier really showed something last week. Both had over 5 yards per carry, 56 yards for Huntley on 10 carries. Algier went for 84 on 10 attempts. So I think those two are going to combine to have a nice game, and they really need to if the Falcons are going to win.
Yeah, well, what I liked about, what was it, the second drive of the third quarter is when they really got the ball rolling on the ground. What I loved about that drive was they had Parker Hess lining up as a fullback and letting him clear lanes for Huntley and Algier. And Huntley and Algier were running hard. That was just, I'm old style football, you know that. So
yeah,
just watching them just beat the hell out of that defensive line, out of the Cleveland's line, and just slash right through them. That was fun to watch. That is kind of just asserting your will against the opposing team. That's telling there is nothing you can do to stop us, and that was fun to see the Falcons do that. Because I think that's something that they've been missing, quite a bit, is the fact of, this is what we're going to do to you. We dare you to stop us. And the Browns couldn't stop them.
Kyle Pitts is not going to play in this game. He's been ruled out with a hamstring injury. He's been disappointing to begin the season from a statistical standpoint. But Kyle Pitts is lined up a lot in blocking formations. He's been really good at pass protection,
yes, he is.
Above average in run blocking. Do you think missing Pitts will hurt the ground game? Will that impact what they want to do, or repeating last week's performance with those two backs?
I think it hurts because, I think it's going to hurt. But the Falcons do have tight ends who can block. I think it's just taking the threat of having Pitts slip out into the secondary and being that danger, as far as being a danger as far as, you might lose track of him as he's blocking down on the offensive line. Somebody slips out and all of a sudden you miss him. And the Falcons don't have another tight end who can do that, who's really that kind of danger. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a problem. But, I think with the run game, they could still run the ball effectively. They still have Parker Hess to play that blocking tight end position and really help out on the end. And if they want to line him up in the backfield as a fullback, again, it's still a lot of things they can do with him at tight end. So I think it's the Falcons should still be able to run the ball this week. It's going to be, they're going to miss it. And yeah, as much as they're using Pitts as uh, more lined up, more as a blocking tight end. I've seen a lot of people call him the second left tackle this past week.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I retweeted something about that, and I thought it was a funny meme about it was a scene from Moneyball where the one character, I forget the character's name, I forget the actor's name, the guy that really doesn't belong in Moneyball. He's in more comedies than serious movies. And he's talking to Brad Pitt, and he says all the positives about a player. And in the movie, he says, well, the reason why people don't like him is because he throws weird, or something like that.
Right.
And it was they replaced it with Kyle Pitts, and the thing was, well, the reason why no one likes him anymore is because he's a left tackle. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's it is a problem.
I mean, I do think Arthur Smith needs to involve Kyle Pitts more in the passing game. Obviously, that's not going to happen this week, but Pitts is doing well at what he's being asked to do, and he's helping his team have a really good running game early this season. So, I think it also falls not just on Smith, on Mariota getting Kyle Pitts involved. And I don't know how much longer Mariota is going to last as the team starts. But that's
I don't think Mariota, I watched the condensed game, and it looked to me like Pitts was getting opportunities out, as targets, but I don't think he's getting the ball where he can catch, where he can do something with it, where he can make a play with it. 22 targets, he's only had 10 catches, but I don't think that's all Pitt's fault.
That's what I'm saying. He's
not getting the ball in good situations. He's not getting the ball where he might get his hands on it, but it's not in a good situation where he can bring it in, kind of tuck and run. He's getting a few things knocked away. He's getting hit when he receives the ball. It's just, I don't think a lot of this is Pitt's fault. And last week when the Falcons were running the ball so well, he was in, but there were plenty of times he was out in the pattern, but he's not getting a lot of opportunities, and his opportunities have not been good when he does get them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think that's what the meme meant. The meme wasn't dissing Kyle Pitts. It was dissing the usage and targets, opportunities that Kyle Pitts has received this season.
Well, I would see when Pitts came into the league, when he was drafted last year, I thought he was going to get more seam opportunities, because receiving tight ends are usually very dangerous down the seam, cutting a zone in half, where you get the linebacker and safety, and nobody knows who's going to pick him up, and that's kind of what I envisioned for Kyle Pitts, and I'm not seeing that this year. They're really not using him. What to me would be his strength is cutting him down the middle and letting him clear space, for Drake London and Zacchaeus. It'd be nice to see him, even if you're not going to target him, let him clear space, because he will clear space. He will attract attention going down the field. So, I think Pitts is really he's regressed because of Mariota being in place instead of Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree. What's the spread in this game?
Let me check that out real quick. I will have that for you. Uno momento. We have 10.
10.
10. Double digits.
Wow. That seems way too big.
Really does. I'm a little surprised at that.
I would think that's just bettors betting on Tom Brady continuing to dominate the Falcons, which maybe he will. Maybe he'll have a big game too. But I think the Falcons present some problems with their running game.
Well, and that's one of the things you get with point spreads is sometimes, I mean, a sports book will set the initial point spread, but then the spread kind of moves according to what the public perceives, how the teams have performed this year, what the public perceives to be the performance. And I think a lot of the public are seeing, let me check this out real quick. See, even at favored by 10, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the spread are taking in 68% of public money.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. That's a lot. Which means if you're going to bet the game, wait a little bit because it might be 10.5 before kickoff. So don't pull the trigger on that game right yet. But Tampa Bay, money line, over under, all the money's coming in on Tampa. And I think that has a lot to do with preconceived notion of what Brady has done in the past, not necessarily what Brady can do this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it makes a big difference. I think that's where this big point spread is coming from.
Pantera brings up a good point too. No Patterson, no Pitts. That's why it's 10. The general public probably doesn't even know who Tyler Algier is. So that's probably a big reason why it's 10. The spread is 10 as well.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of fantasy leagues have picked up Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier this week. I would bet they are very heavily owned going into this game. After being owned by practically nobody before last week.
I'm going to check that. I'm curious now. I picked up Tyler Algier in my small league. It's only an 8-team league, so there's lots of good players available, but I picked Tyler Algier up, so he's not available in that league. And I wasn't able to pick up Huntley because somebody else scooped him up, and Algier was already on a roster. So I can give this a quick look in ESPN leagues at least. See how.
Yeah, ESPN's good about how far a player moves each week as far as ownership and or being dropped. So
not that high, 44.6 for Algier roster. Really? That's percentage rostered in ESPN leagues, and Huntley is 10%.
Wow.
So little fantasy advice, go pick those guys up, especially if you're in a deep league and Huntley's available. I would definitely go pick up.
I know they're going to split carries. I know they're going to split yardage. But I bet you Huntley's going to get you a lot more yards than a lot of second running backs are going to get. This week.
Yeah, because, I think they're going to have a run-first mentality. They did that in the third quarter last week, as we talked about already. And because of the Mariota issues, I think they're they've been a run team all year. But even without Patterson, they're a run-first team until maybe a quarterback change is made. So
see, to me, Cordero Patterson is a big loss because, he's been running the ball so effectively all year. But I think the Falcons have the running backs to make up for it. After last week, the way Algier made a couple of nice runs outside, got running downhill, really got some speed going. Huntley's running tough in between the tackles. I loved what they were able to do. And as good as Patterson is, I think you have two legit backs all of a sudden, two legitimate running backs who can take over and be just as effective in the backfield. Now, you lose the pass catching options with Patterson, but I like the fact that they have two running backs who can run the ball out of the backfield, still be tough, pick up tough yards.
Yeah, I agree. Tony brings up that the next 3 games are arguably the toughest stretch for the Falcons this season. And that makes this matchup all the more important. It's a division game, so it's important already. But I really want to see the Falcons above 500. I want to see them at 3-2. And even if they lose the next 2 games, at 3-4, you're very much alive in a mediocre NFC. To be honest, I think the NFC is very down this year. I think it's going to be a team maybe below 500, or 9-8, I guess, getting that seventh seed. So 3-4 after going through maybe the toughest stretch in your schedule, and with a win against Tampa Bay on the road. I mean, you're sitting in a pretty good spot if you're able to do that.
I tell you what, a win over Tampa Bay too puts the Falcons in first place in the AFC South.
Even better. Yeah. That would be awesome. Even if it's for a week.
Right. Even
3-2, first place.
I don't think Frisco is, I'm not as scared of them as I would have been in previous seasons. They're still trying to figure things out on offense.
Yeah, but so is Tampa Bay, and San Francisco's defense is elite.
Still tough, yes.
Elite.
But
unless you want to credit all of what happened Monday night to the Rams offensive line, which maybe you could. I mean, the Rams offensive line's in shambles. But I think San Francisco's defense is scarier than – I think it's scarier than Tampa Bay's right now.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So we'll see. I mean, it was Patrick Mahomes last week, but I don't know. I don't think Tampa Bay is as elite as they've been the last 2 years. They're banged up on offense, and that running game, or the run defense, I mean, is not – just did not perform last week. So we'll see if they rebound. That is Millie trying to chime in on the show. Millie,
yeah,
come here.
I figured that. I figured Millie had something to say. So
she disagrees with me on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I tell you, Tampa Bay is still sixth in the NFL in points allowed, which is, you may be able to pick up some yards on Tampa Bay, but wow.
Roger stole her bed, so she was upset.
Oh.
You can sit on my lap if you're quiet.
If you're quiet.
I want to spend a couple minutes talking about Tom Brady. And we teased his, the personal issues that he's going through right now. And the conversation I wanted to have before the announcement of the divorce was just, does Tom Brady really want to be back? And I know that's like a weird conversation or a weird question, but I read this quote from Barstool Sports probably about a month ago, and I found it again this morning. He said to Barstool, "I'm feeling more things in the past for some reason. I'm just really feeling intensely my emotions, and I feel like I always have that. But I think when you get close to the end, I don't know exactly where I'm at with that, and there's no decision to be made. It's not like I have 10 years left. I definitely don't have that. So all these, I am just never going to take for granted. I haven't had a Christmas in 23 years. I haven't had a Thanksgiving in 23 years." And he continued, "I haven't celebrated birthdays with people that I care about that are, born from August to late January. And, I'm not able to be at funerals, and I'm not able to be at weddings. I think there comes a point in your life where you say, you know what? I had my fill, and it's enough, and time to go on and to move into other parts of life. I pushed myself to the max, and I got everything I could out of my ability." And I know Brady, I absolutely agree that he's a guy that's hyper-focused and someone that can compartmentalize. I think he can compartmentalize in his life, and he has his football time and then his family time. But that, hearing that quote, and then the fact that Brady is playing this year is shocking. I really think it's shocking. He absolutely sounds like somebody that, I don't want to say regrets coming back, because I think that's too strong. But why would you come back if those are the feelings that you have? He sounds very much like somebody that's ready to retire, but maybe he's scared to. He's been in this league for more than 20 years, and he's familiar with that lifestyle of being in the NFL. And I think I've had this, and I think other people have as well. You associate your job with that's who you are.
Yes.
That you are a football player. You are a sports writer. And there was a time in my life where, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to land a full-time job and be a sports writer. And it was just the constant tug and pull of, well, I mean, I could get a different job and probably have a easier 9-to-5 life, make more money, but I'm not who I think I should be. I'm not who I am. I lose myself. And I think Brady's dealing with that right now, or was at the beginning of the season. And I just find that, I don't know, a very, very interesting quote and very telling, I think, of how he feels. I don't know if that necessarily is impacting his play or it's going to impact tomorrow's game, but I just thought it was worth bringing up that Brady feels very much like somebody that probably should have stayed retired, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. That, and I hadn't heard that quote. And been a busy week as far as regular work. And
it's an old quote. It was, I think it might have even been before the season. So,
but it surprises me that he did come back. And the fact that he has nothing to prove.
Yeah.
He has nothing to prove on a football field anymore. But I think losing, and I think you're right, Dave, it's that sense of identity. He's always been a football player. He's always been hyper-focused on his career, on what he does on Sunday and during the week and preparing for Sunday. I think for those 30 days he was retired, he realized he really doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Because, I mean, other than the fact that maybe he just enjoys playing, which he has to. He has to enjoy. He has to just enjoy playing, enjoy being in the locker room. But other than that, I mean, you have your family, you have a wife that reportedly has been asking to retire for a while. Yeah. TMZ reported, I think it was yesterday, that she's threatened to divorce Brady multiple times over football and him leaving the game and leaving healthy. So you have that situation. You have your kid's life. Your son is now playing football himself. You would think that he might want to be more involved with that.
Yes, and a lot of athletes do that. They get their offspring, their sons out there, and they can kind of fill that void of the game inside them by watching their kids play and taking pride in their accomplishments. And it's, it doesn't seem to be that way for Brady, but
right. And he had that TV deal lined up that we talked about during the off season. I think Tom is
back. I don't know if he wants to be back with the Buccaneers. Remember, the Dolphins made a push for him.
That's true.
And one of the things that they got fined for in the offseason was trying to make this play for Brady. He's under contract with the Bucs, and what's it called? I don't know. My mind went blank.
Tampering.
God, why couldn't I think of that word? Dave, it's coming for you. You just be ready. It's going to be there at some point. But yeah, for tampering, and that's why this whole situation with Brady has been weird to me from the start. I don't get it, and I really thought the retirement was going to take, but I don't think he's completely as committed to being on the field this year as he has been in previous years. And to me, that's the sign that you really need to retire. Is if you're not ready to go out there and be the man, you're a quarterback. You are the leader of this team. You're almost as important as the head coach out there, because you are the coach on the field.
Yeah.
And Brady has always been the coach on the field. And I do have a thought about his commitment to the game right now. And I think he wants to play football, but there are distractions. I think that's interfered with his game.
We'll see if it interferes tomorrow when the Falcons and Buccaneers play at 1 o'clock. Going to get to some comments here. A lot of good ones coming in. Tony says San Francisco, Green Bay, and Philly are the tops NFC class. In his opinion, he thinks Tampa, Dallas, and the Rams are pretenders. It's interesting that, Dallas is playing pretty well with backup quarterback, but they still have more to prove.
Yes.
I would say, definitely.
So do I.
Brian says that I think all these injuries on Tampa Bay have affected his mindset just a tad as well. A little bit. I would agree with that a little bit, Brian, but I think the feelings about, holidays and family and that, I don't think that's really been impacted by any injuries.
Normally Brady isn't as worried about the injuries. If you're in the game, if you're replacing somebody who's injured, you're expected to perform. He's not a guy who's going to sit there and say, well, okay, he's a backup, so he's not going to be able to do it. No, you are expected to perform when Tom Brady calls on you in the offense. So he doesn't usually let injuries bother him.
Pantera asks, do you think Brady will target Julio and Gage to stick it to Atlanta? I can see that being something that Brady would want to do. I just don't think Julio, he had a good week 1, but man, the guy can't last more than a couple of quarters at this point healthy. So I don't have much confidence really any week that Julio's going to have like this huge game at this point. It could happen, but I don't have confidence that he's going to hold up at any point in any game right now. Gage, I'm surprised he hasn't been more involved. So would tomorrow be a fitting coming out party for him? Yeah, and it could happen. I think that's more likely than Julio. Considering
that Gage spent a couple of weeks bragging that Tom Brady called me. Tom Brady wanted me. And yes, when Tom Brady says he wants you, you say yes. If he says jump, you say how high. So that it is surprising. Gage has been hurt. He's had a little rough time getting into it. Besides, you got Evans and Godwin, and you got a ton of receivers on that team. That is it's tough to be a top receiver on the Bucs because you got a lot of guys that you got to outplay to get regular time. I see Brady being kind of, that kind of guy who likes to stick it to teams. And I think maybe Gage might see some more targets this week just to see if he can stick it to the Falcons a little bit. But, I still think you got to worry about Evans and AJ Terrell's not going to have as easy a week. Well, not saying he had an easy week last week against Amari Cooper, but you could see Jacoby Brissett was not looking at Cooper at all. He wanted nothing to do with AJ Terrell. So, but you're also taking a step up in quality as far as quarterback with Tom Brady. This is not a guy who's going to worry about the coverage. If he wants to get the ball into Mike Evans, he's going to get the ball into Evans. And, the heck with it as far as who's covering him. So Terrell's going to have Evans all day. But then you also got you also have to cover, Chris Godwin. which is rough. It's a rough thing to do. He's got a couple of receivers that he can go to and not worry about.
And all the more reason why the running game has to be at the top,
Right.
at the top for the Falcons. That
Yes.
keeps Brady on the sideline, eats up some clock, and if the Falcons are going to score enough points to outscore Tampa, if Tampa's offense is humming and all those receivers are involved, then Atlanta's definitely going to have a strong running game tomorrow to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the running game is going to be a factor for the Falcons moving forward. That is the strength of the team now. We've seen that. That is what this team does well. And we're going to have to keep seeing them do it well to win because, Marcus Mariota is not going to take over a game for you.
He's not.
I think Marcus Mariota does a good job of avoiding the rush. He doesn't get sacked as much as, he's not a standing, sitting duck in the pocket. He does get away from the rush very well and gets rid of the football, which helps, keep yourself out of second and long, third and long situations. But he's also, he's not going to win you a game with his arm. And that's kind of what we saw. And I know a lot of people want to see Desmond Ridder at quarterback. What do you think? Do you think Desmond Ridder at some point this season is going to find his way into the starting lineup?
Absolutely. Yes. I think you set the over-under at Halloween.
Okay.
There's 5 more games until Halloween, maybe 4. I think he's in by the first week of November. Desmond Ridder's playing.
Okay. All right. We're looking for it.
Okay, not necessarily because, it's going to be because Mariota's not pulling his weight. It's going to be because he will be benched. I think you're going to see a lot more performances like last week against Cleveland, and I think the Falcons might even be hovering around 500 like last year around Halloween, and they're going to turn to the rookie to see what he can, if he's a little bit of a better option to win now. I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you, in week 9, they play the Chargers. So you might still see Mariota out there for week 9. Week 10, they go back against the Panthers, Bears, and Commanders. That might be the time where you see Ridder coming in. When they face that second game against the Panthers, and then going into the bye week, they got the Bears, Commanders, and Steelers. So that might be a great stretch for when you're going to want to see Marcus Mariota sit and see what you have in Desmond Ridder.
They do have Carolina on a short week, though, November 10th.
So
you're going to start a rookie quarterback on a short week?
It's Carolina.
First time?
It's Carolina.
I mean, saw what the Colts wanted to change their offensive line in a short week. That went really well Thursday night football.
Well, as I say, it's Carolina.
So maybe it'll happen, but I don't think that's a good idea.
I think you start getting whoa. I think you start getting Desmond Ridder ready with the Chargers. Maybe you do start him with the Chargers. Give him that tough one. But I like that 4-week stretch for the Falcons because I think that's the time when the Falcons can actually start making some headway in the NFC South. It's going to be them. It's the Falcons. It's not going to be the Saints and Panthers being a factor in this division this year. The Saints don't have it. I don't know what it is they don't have. They don't have Sean Payton on the sideline is a lot of what's up to it. Jameis Winston has been back to kind of giving the ball, not making throws that, Sean Payton kind of had Jameis Winston playing within himself. Winston's not playing within himself anymore. He's back to making those dangerous throws and getting intercepted. in Carolina, Matt Rule and Baker Mayfield's just doing nothing there. And I don't know if it's Matt Rule or Baker Mayfield. I have been a fan of Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. I don't think he ever. Well, last year he was hurt. And he's trying to go out there and play, and he's just beaten up. Yeah. I think he's in a worse situation here in Carolina just because he's with a terrible team. And he's not able to lift that team and be a difference maker and be the man to lift that team up on his shoulders and make something happen for the Panthers. And so this is a great year for the Falcons to actually challenge in the AFC South. If they can get a few more things together and figure out what's going on with their pass game. And I agree with you, Dave. It's got to be Desmond Ridder. At some point, he's the one who's going to have to take this one and move this team forward.
Tony says, I believe we see Ridder in 4 weeks in that first game against Carolina on that short week. Well, I think they play Carolina first on October 30th.
That's not a short week. That's a full week of practice.
Right. Is that
the second game against Carolina is a short week?
Right. Are you saying you think he'll be starting by the first time they play Carolina?
Well, Tony thinks so.
Okay. Yeah, Tony says.
I don't think it's a bad place to start a rookie quarterback who, has got to start making a name for himself, has got to start figuring things out at the NFL level. Why not start him against the Panthers?
I think that's a good idea, but not on a short week on the road. I don't think
that's a good idea. On October 30th, that might be
October 30th, yes. October 30th, yes.
So I think Tony might have that good point that you play him that first game against the Panthers. You let him make whatever mistakes he's going to make against the Chargers and that tough rush defense. And, then he's got those 4 games where I think the Falcons can really put themselves in position. And I know we're talking a lot here to talk about this team as a playoff contender, but they can make noise in those 4 weeks and actually put themselves in the spot to make a playoff appearance this year. If they can get past that 4-week stretch and play strong, come back against the Saints off their bye week, play strong. You got 5 games you can make a difference in. All right. So you got to go into those 5 games at 500. Then you can make some noise in this conference and make yourself a contender in this conference.
Larry Orange says he thinks Ridder will start against Cincinnati, which is 2 weeks away.
A little early. I'm not so sure. Possible, Larry. It wouldn't surprise me, but I still don't think he's going to get that week 7 start. I think they're going to still be trying to push Mariota and see if they can't get more out of Mariota. I don't think there is more that they can get out of Mariota. I think we've seen Mariota over quite a few seasons now, and I don't think there's enough. But Arthur Smith is stubborn, so look for him. I think he's still going to start Mariota against Cincinnati.
My money would be yes on that too, but we'll see. Lots of other storylines in the NFL. Things that I loved from the past week in the league. Love seeing the NFL in London. It's kind of a dream of mine to see a game there. You had the 9:30 game between the Vikings and Saints last week. Really exciting matchup. The Saints made that a close one. And I think we're going to see another good game tomorrow between the Packers and the Giants. We talked about that previously. So I love the 9:30 a.m. game too. I don't always see the beginning of the game. I know a lot of people just like to complain And I think it's easy to complain that, oh, why do they have this game at 9:30? If you don't want to watch it, then don't watch it.
Don't watch it, right?
If you would rather sleep or you got to go grocery shopping because you want to watch the Red Zone at 1:00, then do that. Don't watch it.
Right.
But for us that want to tune in for at least the second half, it's great. I would rather watch that than a pregame show. So it's I love the 9:30 game. If it was every week, it would probably be taxing a lot to get up. I'm not a morning person. It'd be a lot to get up every Sunday at 9 a.m. But for every once in a while, I like it. So I'm looking forward to the.
I just got put in the dark. I don't know what happened.
What happened to your lights?
I don't know. Oh, they're there.
We got an automatic lights system?
No, it's
okay.
Yeah.
Production crew.
Yeah, the production crew.
Right. Okay. I loved seeing two rookies quarterbacks play last week. Kenny Pickett got in late for the Steelers.
Yes, he did.
Bailey Zappi got in for the Patriots.
Yep.
Both are going to start this week, making their first starts. So I'm looking forward to seeing what both of them can do. Zappi almost won against Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. So
he did. I know.
That was quite
a hell of a game
from the third string quarterback coming into the season. And I want to see, what he does for an encore this week. And I love seeing Brian Robinson. This didn't happen until this morning, but all week there were reports that he was going to practice and that he was ready to come off IR. Finally, officially came off IR this morning, and he's going to play against the Tennessee Titans tomorrow. He suffered a gunshot wound before the season started. It sounded like he was going to be the starter for the Commanders in running back. Antonio Gibson's had a pretty good first 4 weeks, especially week 1. He was really good. But I think he's going to give them another dimension and at least be a rotational running back piece, and he might become the starter in the next couple of weeks as well. So just love seeing that kind of talented player back on the field, able to overcome a off the field injury.
Yeah, so do I. That's thrilling to hear, and that he's worked hard to come back, and wish him all the success. And let's see what he can do now. Just horrifying that he suffered a gunshot wound in training camp. It's just anytime that kind of thing happens, it's just inconceivable to me. But yeah, I'm glad to see him come back, and really wishing him well and hoping he performs well tomorrow.
Things that I loathed. I think I could have made this list very long, but I stuck to two things. Al Michaels announcing on Thursday Night Football again left something to be desired. I saw some people liked his comments about how the game was so bad. And it's just like, you are a broadcaster that's supposed to make me want to watch the game and take the game and then bring it to another level. And I get that the product that was on the field Thursday night was not good.
It was terrible.
Putting it nicely.
That was just might have been one of the most pitiful Thursday night games I've ever seen.
And people want to blame the Thursday night schedule. It would have been the same if they played Sunday. They could have played Sunday night. They could have played Monday night. They could have played in London. They could have played in Japan. Those two teams playing against each other would have had that outcome in prime time, not prime time on any continent. Those two offenses at this point are bad. And their defenses are pretty good. So, but Al Michaels acting like he didn't want to be there just makes me want to shut off the game. So I did not like Al Michaels' announcing again for like the third week in a row.
I'm a little surprised that, people from above weren't whispering into his headset saying, Al, let's pick this up. I don't think Michaels is anywhere near the broadcaster he used to be. I think he's basically riding out the string. He used to be outstanding.
Yeah, he used to be the best. He used to be the best, and I agree with you. He's just riding out his string.
He got a big contract, and that That's it. He's collecting his money every week.
I don't think he was the best last year either, though, before he got that big contract. I think he's been on the decline for a while. You could probably maybe say that about Matt Ryan. It looks like at this point, been on the decline for a couple of years. I don't know what the heck's going on with Russell Wilson. He should not be on the decline.
No, he shouldn't. He should still be at the peak of his powers.
Yeah. We don't have time to dive into Wilson and the Broncos' offensive problems, but that is a topic that we can discuss maybe at another date. I thought Kirk Herbstreit was pretty good. I thought he did a good job of kind of presenting what the players are thinking in a situation where they also know that they're playing really badly, but yet it's close and you can still win. And to have that, insight of, we'll just put together one drive and we can win this game. And hey, it hasn't been pretty, but we can at least leave this game with a win. That's a lot more helpful than the snarky comments from Al Michaels about how this is such a bad game.
It is. That's how you raise the game. How Herbstreit did it. That's how you raise the game. That's how you keep people focused on the game. This is close enough there. Anything can still happen. And put yourself in the minds of the players. Herbstreit did the job. And Michaels just, it's disappointing because I was a big fan. And I'm losing out on Al Michaels. I'm not. To me, he has not done the job this year.
Tony disagrees with Matt Ryan, me saying that he's on the decline. The O-line isn't helping. You're absolutely right. I think the biggest problem is definitely the Colts offensive line. For some reason, they are one of the worst offensive lines in the league right now, and they are the most expensive offensive line in the NFL. So I don't know why that is, why their top expensive linemen are not playing well. They didn't go after a left tackle this offseason, and that seems to have been a very big error. Not
got to have a left tackle.
But Ryan, even when he has time, I mean, I guess you could say, well, he's got happy feet and he thinks he's got to get rid of it right away because he's getting hit all the time, that even when he has time, he doesn't really feel like he has time. Maybe that's an issue, but there's a couple of times where I think on at least one of the interceptions, he had a good pocket and he threw it right to a defender. I don't know what he sees that on that play that led to an interception, but I think Ryan is part of the issue. And he's got 11 fumbles. 11 fumbles. He's on pace to break the single season fumble record before Thanksgiving. It's unbelievable how he's been a Pez dispenser with the ball. If you're going to get hit, at least hold on to it. He's got to improve that. And Pantera, surprising, he says that Thursday night's game was great. I didn't think it was as bad as some people, but I would not, sign up for that game regularly.
Well, believe me, I'm the kind of guy who likes the defensive struggle, but I don't like sloppy football either.
Yeah. That was more sloppy football than great defenses. I think the defenses play well, but it was a lot of sloppy offense for sure.
I'll get to Tony's comment real quick. Then we got to do picks.
Tom, are you saying that Al Michaels is at the point in his career that he's doing nothing but collecting checks, like a certain 2020 second-round draft pick that our Falcons need to release?
I don't know about that, but yes, I say Al Michaels is collecting paychecks right now. He's making things comfy for the children, grandchildren. He's got everything. He's putting aside the money for their futures and I don't. He does not engage me in the game anymore, and that's a rough thing. As far as Atlanta Falcons draft picks, well, we're not going to go into that right now.
I had one more thing I loathed, but we're running really short on time. I'll table it for next week. We can have a conversation about what Joe Burrow had to say about concussions next Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Let's get to your picks against the spread real quick. What do you got for us, Tom, against the spread?
Hey, Zozo. I have the Jets, who really surprised me. Zach Wilson surprised me last week.
Yeah.
the Jets are getting 3.5 points against the tool-less Miami Dolphins. And I like the Jets to play the Dolphins tough. I don't know if the Jets particularly win that game, but I think the Jets are starting to show some life. This is a team that has some life to it. And I like them getting that 3.5 points against the Teddy Bridgewater-led Miami Dolphins team. Vikings are getting a 7.5 point spread against the Bears. Sorry, it hurts me. Just kills me to bet against the Bears. But the Vikings minus 7.5, you have got to take that spread. There is just no doubt in my mind. You have got to take that spread. Got to pick it up. So as much as it kills me, it's a stake in the heart. Detroit Lions are getting 3 points against the New England Patriots. Again, Zappe starting. However, the Detroit Lions, they're playing terrible on defense. They have one of the best offenses in football.
Yeah.
As far as scoring points. But terrible on defense. I think the Lions can take advantage of that +3. So I do like the Lions this week. So it's going to be interesting. You realize your Steelers are 14-point underdogs against the Buffalo Bills?
They deserve to be.
And that's even without Mitch Trubisky quarterbacking.
Well, as I've said before, the Steelers have a lot more problems than just the quarterback. Kenny Pickett came in and provided some energy. It was exciting. But then he throws a deep pass to Chase Claypool, who's 6'4". He's being covered by a cornerback who's 5'10", and Chase Claypool somehow loses the jump ball. I don't know how that happens. You really only have like that job. You run end arounds and you get jump balls.
Yes.
Because George Pickens has been passed by you on the depth chart, and DeAndre Johnson's always been better than you. So win the damn jump ball.
Yes.
And you couldn't against a 5'10" cornerback.
I know. Just pathetic. Oh, God.
So it doesn't matter if it's Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. I mean, there's issues all around for the Steelers offense. And
what gets me, everybody is finally seeing what we in Chicago saw for the last couple of years out of Mitch Trubisky. No, he is not an NFL quarterback.
Well,
it is.
I think I was in the minority saying that he would be good in Pittsburgh. I think most people were saying that was a silly pickup. And didn't work out. I really hope we don't see Trubisky the rest of the year. It's Pickett's team now. And is that your last pick against the spread? The Bills?
That's my last pick against the spread. So
I think that's a good pick. The Bills could sit their whole defense, which it seems like half of it is sitting because of injuries. But I don't think that's going to help.
So you got 4 picks to parlay this week. Go ahead, bet them up, and take home some money this week. And remember who told you to take those teams. Oh, man.
So do you have any prize picks?
I got some prize picks. Of course, I got some prize picks. What do you think? James Robinson did not do well last week. All right. I own that. However, he is facing the team that is last in the NFL in rushing defense this week, the Houston Texans. Take James Robinson, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to get his nut. He's going to get, let me see where he's at right now. 62.5 yards. He will get his 62.5 yards. So I feel very confident in saying James Robinson. This is a surprise, but I was kind of reading around this week, and Baker Mayfield over under on completions is 18.5. Take the under.
The under. Wow.
Take the under on 18.5. He is not, well, he's got no receivers, but he is not doing very well in the pass game as it is. Take the under on Baker Mayfield receptions. And let's see. The other Pickens for the Steelers. 38.5 receiving yards.
Okay. I like where you're thinking.
Pickens, the receiver, against Buffalo. 38.5 receiving yards. I think he gets that 38.5. He's got a quarterback who's going to get him the ball. No more Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, overthrowing him, underthrowing him, not throwing him. So go ahead and take him. And 38.5 yards, that's not a lot of yards. He's going to get that against – he might even get that in garbage time against the Bills. So I think that's a good bet. So that's your 3 for your prize picks this week.
I got 3 different ones. I like Algier. He's got 43.5 rushing yards is what he set out. I like the over there against Tampa Bay. Aaron Jones has caught exactly 3 receptions in each of the first 4 games of the season, and I'm going over 3 receptions this week. So I don't know what happens if it's exactly 3. I guess it's just a push. But I'm hoping he gets a 4th one in London against the Giants. And I got Kenny Pickett, not George Pickens. I got Kenny Pickett, 17.
George Pickens, I'm sorry. What was I thinking there?
Oh, that's all right.
Pickett and Pickens are, it's coming for you, Dave.
Pickett
These moments are coming for you.
Hoping that's a big combination in the future.
Yeah.
Pickett to Pickens.
Pickett to Pickens.
I got Pickett rushing yards, though. 17.5 rushing yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in relief of Mitch Trubisky last week. 15 rushing yards in just a half. I think he'll get 18 in a full game against the Bills.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. I think that's a good pick.
So those are our prize picks. Today's show was brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app. Use our promo code ASU. When you do, that gets you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So you get double your amount of money to get started. And then we're hoping that you use our picks from this week to win some money.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are some great, I think we gave you some pretty good options for prize picks this week. So I think you can definitely make some money this week. So go for it.
Thanks for tuning in to our show. We'll be back next Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Follow us on Twitter at TJ Pollen, at DM Holcomb.
Have a great week, everyone.